Hello, everybody. I'm Reverend Scotty Nestor with Labor of Love Outreach Ministries. I apologize for the look here. Not my face only, but for the coat and the toboggan. It's a little cold. It's a little colder than what we expected it to be, but we don't know what the Lord has prepared for us for today. So we dressed up accordingly because it was a little cold this morning. I am on my way to work this morning. I've got a pretty good distance to travel, but hands-free. I just got my phone propped up, being safe. Always be safe out on the road. Obey the laws of the land as the Lord has asked us to. Today I want to speak on something that really troubles me, and it bothers me in this human flesh of mine, and as we all have it, we all have to bear it while we're here on earth. And one day this will be glorified if you're prepared to meet Jesus Christ. Behold, all things are made new. And one day we'll be perfect like him. For until then, though, we just have to prepare ourselves every day and fight this flesh daily. As John said in the Bible, we have to kill this flesh daily in order to maintain. And you'll hear me say a lot of times, in order to maintain the right lane. The right lane to me is the right path to follow. So when you maintain the right lane, you're doing good. But I just want to speak on today. A lot of you've heard me on the radio and stuff, and I've talked about how other people don't give other people second chances. A little bit about myself. I was raised in a Christian home. I was raised in a pretty good home setting there. And my mom always took us to church, and she tried to teach us right. And regardless of how my mother raised me, I just thought that a different path would be better for me. So, I lived a troubled life for a little bit when I was a teen and up through some of my 20s and 30s, just doing things that wasn't right, causing trouble. Forgive me for pausing, looking away or whatever, because you got to watch this traffic out here. People are just absolutely crazy out here on the road. But anyway, so something that we can all agree on today that we're going to talk about. No, we don't want to talk about it out of anger, and we don't want to talk about it out of frustration. Every one of you watching, the ones that are watching, we all have that certain somebody in the family I'm about to describe, but it's not for us today to put them down. It's just something we're going to address and talk about, because if you don't talk about what you feel, what's inside, and you don't get it out, then it builds up a lot, and it can cause an explosion. What it is. Anyway, so I've recently, like I was going to say before, I lived a troubled life. I've been to jail. I've actually spent some time in prison. I decided to go down a rough road, join a motorcycle club. It was something that I thought was good for me, when actually it wasn't. It was destroying me. Sin is only for pleasures, it says it in the Bible. And it only lasts for a season, and then that season comes to a stop. Like the season that we're in now, what is funny we can relate to is where I dressed up this morning, and looking like I live in Alaska, and you see the sunshine. It's really a beautiful morning that the Lord has given us out here in the Carolinas. And I imagine if you're anywhere watching this morning and the sun's come up, it's a beautiful morning. Or if you've opened your eyes, period, regardless of what goes on outside, it's a beautiful morning. But anyway, so me being in and out of trouble and just being who I was, I learned to recognize these people that were just like me, or a lot of them were worse than what I were doing. But sin is a sin, and no sin's greater than the other in God's eyes. So anyway, I had a friend recently, while he was incarcerated, and we were writing back and forth, and during his letters, everyone knows what they call jailhouse religion. I have seen it. I've actually had it. What is jailhouse religion, you ask? It's when you get put in jail, and you don't even have to. You don't have to be incarcerated to get jailhouse religion. But jailhouse religion, what I call it, is when you get put into a place, whether it's locked up or out here, when you get put into a position that all hope is gone, you've exhausted all your leads, all your contacts. The only person left that you have to call on is Jesus Christ. Now, a lot of people say they don't believe in Jesus Christ, or they don't believe in God, the Creator. But who do they call on in time of trouble? Who do they call on in time of death? They cry out for God. They cry out for God to help them, for God to save them. So there's that. If you don't believe in God, why don't you cry out to Him anyway? So people get put into a bad bind in life, like I have myself. And please note, some of this I can relate to myself, and I'm not here to trash anybody. I'm actually doing this video to maybe help change your way, or to uplift you, or let you know that you don't have to live at the bottom anymore. You don't have to be at the bottom of the pile anymore. You can overcome and rise above your enemies, just like I have in my walk. I could stay angry at the world because the judge didn't have any mercy on me, and he sentenced me my first time ever in trouble, a pretty stiff penalty, instead of giving me a second chance. But anyway, like I was saying, is we get put into a bind, and the only person we cry out for when we don't have anything else is Jesus Christ. And we call out to Him because He's the last one left. And then the jailhouse religion part, when we get put into that position and we get incarcerated or get locked away, or we're facing court, or we're facing bills, we cry out to Him, Lord, I promise this, I promise that. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about if you ever been to jail or know someone that's been to jail. And listen, just because someone's been to jail, please keep in mind they're still human beings. For whatever the reason they went for, please keep in mind that they're still human beings. God still loves them. God can still change them. He has a sole purpose and plan for everybody in life. Anyway, and it's not for us to judge them, but so the jailhouse religion comes where people start making promises to God. They start crying out to Jesus, Lord, if I just get out of here, I promise I'll do better. I promise I'll do this. While in jail, you read the Bible, you see a lot of guys praying, they're talking to God, and you're thinking, man, this is really heartfelt, because people are actually crying out to Jesus for help, and that they're going to change their ways when they get out of the situation that they're in. But anyway, this friend of mine, while he was writing me, he's talking in his letters about how when he gets out, he's going to be a better person. He's actually going to be involved in his kid's life and in his family's life, and how he's going to do this, how he might do that. And then I have another friend that he's been in trouble himself. In his current situation, he's kind of, we all put ourselves there. Please keep that in mind. We are the true demise of our own lives. We can take a bad situation and turn it into good. Just like I was stating earlier in the beginning of my video, is that I was raised in a Christian home, or if I even said that in this video, but I was raised in a Christian home by a good Christian mom. She took us to church. But just regardless of the way I was raised, that was my ultimate decision to go down the road in the path that I did. And sin will take you down that road. If it wasn't for sin, we wouldn't need prisons. We wouldn't need what we have now. Anyway, so this other friend of mine, he's lost his license, and he's living with his parents, and he's got a child on the way. It's just a bad situation, and really, I pray for him that he comes out of this, because that's no place to be. And I know we all been down on our luck, but as long as we have the ability, the physical and mental ability to come out and actually do something about it, then we have no excuse why we shouldn't be putting forth an effort to get ourselves out of these situations. And that's why I want to tie in with Jailhouse Religion. We make God all these promises, and even out here, keep that in mind now. Don't mean that you have to be locked away once again, but Jailhouse Religion is, to me, just someone that is locked away inside or on the outside in a situation that they think they have no control of. Actually, you can overcome anything with Jesus Christ. Anything. You can move mountains. You can do anything. He said all things are possible through Jesus Christ who strengthens me. And myself, I'm not the prodigal son. I'm not some special powerful prophet, but I have overcome every obstacle, major obstacle in my life with Jesus Christ, and a praying mother and prayers and God's mercy. But anyway, I have overcome a lot. But like I said, anyway, so he lives with his parents. He's got a child on the way, and that's just a bad situation to be in. And he's got some, as far as I know, he's got some physical conditions going on where his physical ability to work might be hindered at this time, or a bit of a restraint on it because of an injury. But anyway, that being said, the situation that he's in, and the situation my other friends are in, and the situation you get put in when you go out and you're either locked away or you're in a bind. First of all, we need to realize there, a lot of the times we put ourselves in those positions. We put ourselves in those places, whether they be good or bad. But a lot of times God don't put us in those places. We have put ourselves, we have chosen. He has given us the free will to choose between good and bad. And what I mean by that is to do right or to do wrong, to choose Him as your Savior or to spend eternity in hell. That is solely our choice. It's what we're going to do with it, that free will. I remember as a child, I'd get angry at my mother, and I'd be like, well, when I'm old enough, I'm moving out and getting away. And she said, well, when you get old enough, you can make your own decisions. And you can do whatever you want, mister. But until then, you'll live under my rule. And Mom was right. She ruled with an iron fist, and I'm glad she made us mine. Up until the time that we were able to go out, we were old enough by law to go out and make our own decisions. Like I said, forgive me for pausing or anything, looking away, is because traffic is pretty bad this time of morning. But not a better time to do a video. Hands-free video, by the way. I see people on their phones all the time, going down the road, just texting and looking down, and it's amazing. Some of them's got so much talent, because I don't see how they maintain their vehicles without crashing. But anyway, this is not about highway enforcement. But anyway, so you take these people. We all know someone that's been locked away, that is currently locked away. They're making all these promises when they get out, how they're going to do better, how they're going to raise their kids, how they're going to go and live on their own, how they're going to do everything totally different. And I myself have been like that. Done this jailhouse religion thing before. But anyway, so these friends of mine, and I hold them dear to my heart, and I'm not here to trash them. I'm not putting them down at all. I'm using these as an examples of what's going on. But I'm using these couple of people as an example, because that's what God does. He puts things in front of us that we can use to help others, and I include myself in this video when I say these couple of people, because I have been there. I've made promises, false promises to God. Now listen, that's one thing that you do not do, is make false promises to God. You definitely don't make false promises to Him. You look at Israel. He would put them into bondage, and they'd be captured, and then they'd repent of their sins, and then He would release them. He would, set them free from the enemy. And just like Pharaoh, if you read through the Bible, you can see where Pharaoh made a lot of promises, and then he would just turn right back to his evil way. All these plagues that went on, that God had sent to him because of his ways. But anyway, so let me roll down the window for a second, get this glare that you can see out of our eyes here. Guess it's gonna do any good to push the mirror on. The sun's coming up in the east and I'm headed west, so there's that glare. Anyway, so we see that throughout the Bible that God's chosen people, God's people, and I'm even talking prophets, have made false promises to God, or told him something they were going to do, and they failed at it. And we all fail in life. It's this human flesh that fails. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So flesh loves earthly things. I don't care who you are. The old flesh loves earthly desires. Try to block that out, but anyway, it loves earthly desires. It wants everything that is in this world that's no good for us, and that's everything. Anyway, the lust and the love of the world that the flesh absorbs, it's a big sponge. But so these, back on jailhouse religion, sometimes I get straight away in my conversations and things like that. But so this jailhouse religion, you're making God promises, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Well, then you get out. Let's say he releases you from this this bond you're under. He takes these chains of sin away from you, whether it's get you out of a financial debt. Lord, I promise I'll never go back in debt for nothing stupid again. Lord, I put myself in there, and Lord Jesus, and when we're in there, like I'd like to have a new pickup truck, but the Lord doesn't. That's why He wants us to pray and bring things to Him. The Lord knows. He's the physician that, like you said, it ain't the ones that are well that need the doctors, the sick. And this old fleshly body is sick all the time. So He knows what to give us. He knows what kind of medicine, what things we need. We just have to accept it and listen to Him. He wants us to bring everything to Him and pray about it. It shows a sign of respect and trust in Him, and it shows Him that we love Him, that we bring everything to Him, that we trust Him with all of our hearts. And that's more of our problems here on earth, is we don't totally trust God, but that can be a different video. So Anyway, so we get out of these situations, and I've been praying about a vehicle, and I'd like to have a new truck. But the Lord sees that my current situation, I've got so many other things to pay for. He knows, and I know, that if I was to take on a new truck payment or go out and put the money down, which I have to go do, but you might have that money, but the Lord is holding you back from getting that, holding me back from getting that new truck, because He knows what's best for us. All we have to do is just listen to Him and obey. But anyway, so we get out, we make God all these, He releases us, and just like me wanting that new truck, if I put myself in debt, He knows that I put myself there, and then we cry out to God for help when we put ourselves in these situations. Anyway, so we get out, He releases us from this bond, we get out of jail, or we get out of debt, whatever it may be. And we done make God all these promises that we're going to do better, our lives are going to be better. But then when we get out, it lasts for a couple of weeks, this jailhouse religion. It lasts for just a few weeks. And then you go right back to doing the same thing. Just like a lot of guys I've seen get out of jail, and, well, I ain't coming back, I'm going to do better, I'm going to live right. And I have seen it. I've seen it a lot. I knew this gentleman, younger guy, that he went to he went to prison for some things he done. He got out. He had the jailhouse religion. He done good for a while, and then he just turned right back to his evil ways. Sadly to say that his life was cut short shortly after that, in a car accident, and no one can explain why the truck rolled or what happened to him. He said, and he may have accepted Christ into his heart, but God also said that if you become a stumbling block unto others, He'll remove you out of the way. And that could be the situation, or his sins just caught up with him. And that's a sad and tragic loss. And our hope here on earth is that he's in heaven. That if he did become a stumbling block, he said he turned the flesh over to Satan in order to be destroyed, to be destroyed in order to save the soul. And God knows what He's doing with everything. Just like yesterday it was raining, this morning it's cold, the sun's out. Just a few weeks ago it was 70, 80 degrees. We do not understand the method of what's going on in our lives. We don't understand the method of God. Like one time the sun's out, and the next time it's freezing rain and spitting snow. But it's not for us to know. And you don't tempt the Lord thy God. It's said in the Bible. It's been said that you shall not tempt the Lord thy God. And you don't tempt Him. We are not to question Him. Who are we to question God? Who are we to put ourselves in that position to question an almighty King that knows every hair on your head is numbered? And He's got everything worked out. We don't need to question Him. And we don't need to put ourselves in these situations and then blame God. What America and everybody all over the world has forgotten is that He's a powerful King. He created all. He created all. There's no other gods. There's no other power in this world other than God Himself. But anyway, so we're questioning an almighty, powerful King that can move mountains, that can raise the dead, that takes and gives life, that has spared us. And any of us can relate back to a time in life when you were spared from death, whether it be a car wreck or a sickness or an illness. I had a severe head injury. I used to ride pro rodeo for a while, but I had a severe head injury. I was in intensive care. I was very fortunate and blessed that God had mercy on me, that He brought me out of that hospital and out of that room, because honestly, I was due for death. Anyway, and I thank the Lord every morning for my life and what I have that He has blessed me with. I don't have a lot, but what He's blessed me with, I'm so very thankful for. Because number one, I'm not bound to any prison. I'm not bound to any jail. Haven't been in any trouble in a very, 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 very long time. I just had too much of that place. I always said my last round of trouble, that was it, and that has been it. Thank God. But I avoid it. I get away from it. We can avoid and we can overcome anything. God said He always leaves a way out. We have that free will to get out of the way, or stand in front of the bus that's about to hit us, so to say. But so we get out of these situations. We make God all these false promises, and then we question Him when we get in these situations that we put ourselves in. Let's remember, you put yourself there. You put yourselves there. Anyway, so back on these friends. They make God all these promises, how they're going to do good, how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that. It goes good for a couple of weeks, and then they're right back to being who they were before. Let me tell you, you don't make God an almighty king, like I said before, the creator and giver of life and the taker of life. You don't make Him false promises. You don't tell Him you're going to do something and turn your back on Him and not get punished for it. Because the punishment that He'll and the judgment that He'll bring upon you is greater than any judge here on earth. We need to keep in mind on that too. But anyway, so over time, I've always wanted, I said, well, when you get out, when that person gets out, or this person, once he starts to go and get out of your mom's house, I hurt, because I don't want to see him do without money. I don't want to see him not have anything. If I can overcome my situation, and I teach a class every now and then, or help teach a class of people, offenders, I can relate to them. Not all crimes I can relate to where they've been, but it's not the crime, it's the time that they had, and now the situation that they're in, the judgment that they're in, and what they have to do. And a lot of people that it's really a good program. I've been through it myself. But, teaching these people that, hey, the world is not against you. You put yourself in that situation. Just because you've got hit with a crime now, you're a felony, or you have a misdemeanor on your record, or you've spent some time in jail, or you have tattoos all over you. And the world will look upon you differently. God forgives, people doesn't. And people use that as an excuse to go back and do worse or more, get put right back in the situation. Well, nobody cares. Nobody will give you a second chance, and that's what I want to let everybody know. If you've been locked away or whatever, look at me. I mean, I've got a rap sheet enough to go around this vehicle and wallpaper my house. Not proud of it by no means. A lot of people are proud of their rap sheet, but not me. I was ruthless and mean, and I couldn't even trust myself, let alone anyone else around me. Excuse me. I was just in a really, really dark place at one time, and it wasn't a good situation. It wasn't a good place to be, and I didn't like or love no one around me, and I had no mercy on no one. But the Lord came into my heart. He changed me. He changed my thoughts, my ways. Yes, I still sin. I sin every day. I mess up. I'll slip up. But I know that I can go to God and I can ask for forgiveness. I am ashamed when I do slip up, because then you say to yourself, that's not a way a man or woman of God should be acting, and it's not. You shouldn't act certain ways. But this whole fleshly body, this stuff here, this old face, this is what I'm talking about. The skin that covers the bones, the old flesh, is really hard to fight, and we have to battle it every day. Anyway, so I tell these people in this class, you can make a change. Well, I'm telling you today, You can make that change. Regardless of your situation, regardless if you're spending life in prison, or if you got 10, 20, 30 years, whatever, or 2 months, you can make a change in your life. You don't have to keep acting the way you do. You only act the way you do because of your own choice. Not everybody's against you in this world, so this jailhouse religion backs this up. Yeah, well, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna start doing this, I'm gonna start doing that, blah, blah, blah. You get out, it goes good, you do it for two or 3 weeks, it's boring, it ain't fun. That old flesh sets in, and it wants to start with its desires. Next thing you know, you go right back to jail, you're hollering out for God again. But if you're going to keep acting like that, God will turn his ear from you. He hears the prayer, sinner's prayer. And he knows your every thought. He knows your what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. And a lot of people say, well, why is there even a reason to try? Because of that free will. He already knows, and the hairs on your head, they are numbered. But God, he gives us that free will to do what we want to do. He gives us that free will, and he wants us to use that free will to see what we'll do. Yeah, he already knows whether or not we're going to turn out good or bad, but we can make that change. You can make that change in life. In this jailhouse religion, stop making God false promises, and you better keep your promise to him. What you say you're going to do, or it's better off just to keep your mouth shut when it comes to an almighty king. But anyway, so I offered these couple of people some work. I run my own thing and do my own thing in business here. So I offer them work. I offer them a way to make money. This one gentleman I know, you need to get out of your parents' house. You've got a child on the way. I just don't want to see you, brother. I want to show you, even though that the situation you're in, you have no money, you have no nothing, you have, you're struggling to make ends meet. Well, I want to help make that change. God always sends a way for us out. He always leaves a way for us out of the situation we're in. And if you're physically able, like these gentlemen are, and these women, if you're physically able to overcome and get out of that situation, you have yourself only to blame. So I offer these people work, and they want to work when they want to work. They want to take vacation when they want to take vacation. We all know, it says in the Bible, whatever you find to do with your hand, do it with all thy might and all thy heart. Whatever your hand findeth to do, do it.